to a lunch, and where it was a pre-lunch where they gathered a lot of different church leaders and stuff and discussed kind of the purpose and the point and the vision and kind of, you know, planting seeds for the October event.
Get it back in our hair.
Gathering people, gathering volunteers, gathering points of contact for churches, things of that nature. So back when I very first heard Franklin was doing this, I knew it was something big. I just, spiritually, I knew there was something to it because he's been very, very outspoken on the direction of our nation, and if you've kept up with him at all, he's made some very, very controversial statements with truth. I mean, it's kind of like he's saying what you're thinking, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's in a position where he can say it.
But he's exactly. He's been ordained with this position where he can say it, and he's got the security, and he's got the means, and he's got the torch to do it. So I just really felt that there was something to this. And then I forget his name, but he's in Wednesday night, sits in the front row.
John?
Is it John? It may be John. That sounds right. Rides a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been talking about it. And when I had the opportunity to go to this lunch, I was like, I gotta be there. So I got these packets for my classes, my Sunday morning and Wednesday night class. All the information is right there. There's cards you can fill out if you want to be a point of contact or want to be someone to help. Just promote it in the church on that mark of the beast there that you have in the packet. It has, there's videos on there, and there's, right, you can slide that up under your skin. There's videos on there, there's templates for posters, like the whole promo kit in that.
That's pretty wild.
I thought that was very creative, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I knew there would be some people here interested, and I think it's not only worthy to promote, I just think for our nation and our state, it's very important. I think it's a very strategic spiritual event. I really do. It may not have the charisma of T.D. Jakes behind it, but it'll be spiritually powerful. I think it'll plant some seeds.
Well, you know,
Franklin Graham's a stud.
Yeah.
he's not only.
And if you're gonna wear that flat top, you gotta push that up.
Oh, I do. Well,
I don't want to say it's right on the shirt tails of his dad because
He's taking it.
he's taking it to the next level.
He's done what should be done when an organization is taken over.
But because his dad
Exactly.
had things so established, he was held at such high esteem in all offices of government, as well as the church. You know, because of that establishment, and now Franklin Graham is coming up in his footsteps, but even beyond, and wears the pants very well for that, you know, that taking over that spot.
And you see
Where's the pants? That's good.
You see where our
That's nice.
where our nation is.
Yeah.
Where our nation is.
Yeah.
You
And what a
can-
time for him to be. You know,
That's what I'm saying. You can see. I mean, it was a setup
yeah.
because God used Billy Graham. I mean, it's like you see how God was so strategic in the seasons of our country. You know what I mean? Because Billy Graham was perfect for his time.
Yeah.
And now, and it built a platform for Franklin. because Franklin's perfect for this time,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
a little more,
Yeah.
little more,
Out
which-
there.
which shows you, because, you know, I know growing up, you know, in the church, you know, Billy Graham was someone that you didn't hear much about in our circles, because it was more of that, you know, he just,
Baptist.
yeah, he was Baptist. It wasn't charismatic. It wasn't Pentecostal. It wasn't, so it couldn't be right, you know. But now, you know, the truth of the matter is God knew exactly what he was doing.
It wasn't even Pentecostal. I mean, I was
Yeah.
with the Nazarene minister.
Oh, there was a lot of them.
And
Yeah.
you would hear that.
Yeah.
I would hear that out of Methodist and Nazarene.
But what's so awesome, and I've heard this talked about his integrity, look at all those years that he was in the national spotlight in ministry. And no one has been able to doubt his integrity.
You're talking about Billy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No scams,
yeah.
no women, and no one even accused him of using his position for celebrity status. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How some people use
Like-
that, they become Christian celebrities. He didn't do that.
Well, he was so loved
Yeah.
by and respected
Yeah.
by everybody that they didn't dare take a stab at him, because that would
Yeah.
be themselves,
Yeah.
it'd be like stabbing themselves,
Yeah.
you know?
And what Franklin's doing shows you the seeds that his dad planted. So it shows you that his dad was a very conservative, I don't mean to say a hard line, but had standards and had,
Well,
it wasn't sloppy agape, so to speak. I mean, it shows you that Billy Graham knew the word, knew black was black and white was white, evil was evil, good was good. He put that in his son. And now that the nation has turned, the
Well-
nation has strayed.
the fact that not only does he have Franklin, but he's got Anne.
Oh yeah,
Both of
Ann's
his-
doing it too.
Both of
Yeah.
his children.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that brings out to the light what went on at home.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because she's just as bold too.
If you read his book, The Journey, he credits that more to Ruth than he does himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because he was gone all the time.
Well, that's
He was
true.
traveling. He was traveling the world.
Yeah, that's true.
I think one of the nice things that Franklin's gonna have, is all that time and work he spent over at Stan, and having to deal with their government and all, not that it's ever really stabilized, but with all, that's where he established their Samaritan's Purse.
Oh, okay.
ministry at.
Yeah.
And, he worked over there for years amongst all that
Yeah.
Civil War and constant governmental upheaval that's going on constantly and stuff, so.
There was a lot of slave
And-
trading there.
Yeah,
Christian slave
and
trading.
Billy really kept his hands off that. That was really, that area of ministry
Right.
was always, Franklin started it, and it was Franklin's baby for the longest time.
So, but check these packets out, and if you want to be involved, if you want to go. If you want to be involved or kind of be a point person just to help promote it, you know. But it's definitely worth the time and looking into. So,
Well, one Billy Graham Parkway.
Yeah, my parents just went there. That was one of their stops this weekend, was going to the
Oh, really?
Cove,
Yeah.
that whole little training center they've got there.
That's cool.
On their way back from South Carolina, that was where they were dropping her there. I've been wanting to go there for a while,
But,
so.
Yeah, you could really feel there's something to it. There's something to it for sure. All right. and it's really a strategic time for our state too, because it's October 5th, it's a month from the elections, and the governor's race. By that time, you'll see it. It'll be in the heat of the battle, and you'll hear economic stuff thrown around. The truth of the matter is Indiana economically is in the best shape that we've been in a long time. And one of the, all the business magazines and business elites, Indiana's very high ranking as far as the best state to do business in, things like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the unemployment rate is still so high.
Yeah, Indiana's still doing very well. Now, again, remember, we were here. The nation was here, then we went here, now we're here. We've never truly, but it is coming. I mean, there are, when you look throughout the nation, there are, I don't care who's in office. If you look at the facts, if you look at the numbers, Indiana is one of the better off financially stable states in America. But you'll hear a lot about that. But really, what I think there's a very spiritual battle taking place also, because Indiana's typically been one of the Bible Belt states, conservative, common sense,
Last change to time change.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? We're just, you call a man and a woman, but between John Gregg and Mike Pence, there is a very clear difference in philosophy there. Whereas Gregg falls more in line with the Obama-Clinton perspective. Pence is more conservative, man's a man, woman's a woman. So there's definitely.
Are you telling me to vote for Mike Pence?
So I'm not promoting a candidate. I'm just saying, I'm saying.
Just the facts. He's giving you just the
It
facts.
just is what it is. So,
Preachers do that.
So the Billy Graham situation's October 5th. It's actually going to be on the state capitol lawn. So it's going to be a very strategic time. I just about guarantee, unless, now they did say in some of the previous, like San Francisco and some things like that where they've done this, there were planned protests, there was stuff planned against them. They didn't get into detail, but they did say God basically confused their plans. And evidently it went smoothly. It wasn't as bad as what they thought it could be. I don't know what happened, but they said God confused their plans, so they just asked for everybody to continue to pray, because their next ones, like within the next couple of weeks here, is in Oregon and Washington, which is very, very liberal area, and they say there are plans already to come against this and to, try to mess it up, things like that. So I imagine by the time it gets to Indiana, not to sound like, I feel like I sound like that teacher on Ferris Bueller, Bueller, but by the time it gets here, I mean, we could be in the heat of the battle. So it's important to just kind of.
That's pretty cool. I watched a thing where it took them like 20 plus years just to get a crusade organized in Oregon. Due to politics.
I haven't done a lot of research, but I've heard people say Oregon is I heard somebody said it's the most godless state in America.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, which surprised me,
Yeah.
but that's what I've heard.
They had a crusade in back in '93 there. I think it was at the Ducks Stadium, the college stadium. And yeah, they said that the last time they held anything in Oregon was back when they were having their like tent revivals. Where ministry actually started.
Yeah. I heard it was tough.
Because of, basically they wouldn't let them in.
Pretty serious when
They
you
did
go
not
to
want
state
them in
capitol.
there.
You go to state capitol, you're getting it done. I mean,
Oh, yeah, well.
they did that partially for partial
Yeah.
birth abortion, and they
Yeah.
got it done in
Yeah.
that state. They got that passed, so I was
Well,
there, so. I
Yeah,
know.
it's
serious.
geographically important,
Pretty awesome.
but also because of the geographical importance, there's spiritual importance.
Yeah.
Because that's spiritually, wherever your capital is or your center, there's a center of government. There's a center of power. Whatever you're dealing with, whether it's economic, government, education, there's a center of power, and it is spiritual. It is spiritual. So when you come to the center of power, whether evil or good, and you proclaim, you're planting seeds. And so it's very strategic.
They have an estimated guess at the attendance for this, what it's going to be.
I haven't heard it estimated. Probably don't know. That's why this is just, it's in October, so, and that was the first lunch of gathering church leaders.
Okay.
That's probably what the card's for.
Yeah, they want you to mail it in, that
Exactly.
way they got an idea.
They're working, so. Yeah, and if you do fill those out, if you want to send them on your own, send it on your own. If you want to just give it to me, I'll make sure it gets in the hands that it needs to get to.
You
So.
intend on going?
Huh?
You intend on going?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try to bring my boys and everything. So, family
Church would rally behind that?
Oh, I don't know.
For, actual,
I don't know. What I have learned is when you say the church,
yeah.
most people are talking about everybody that sits in there on Sunday morning.
Not happening.
When I say the church, I'm talking about you guys.
Okay.
So,
The ones
yeah,
that
do,
are on Wednesday nights.
do I think the church will go? Yeah, we probably will.
When I said that, I was
Yeah.
thinking 20 to 30 people.
Yeah.
Tops.
I tell you, when, I'll say this, we'll get to this. On that note, I think this is kind of on the subject, off the subject, but you brought it up. If you lead a department in the church, unless you have been established for a while and have put into practice some of the things we're learning,
Take the chip.
it's right. You just, when you go to do something, if you can get 4 or 5 people to go with you to an event like this, you've done a great thing. Yeah.
I agree.
Really?
Yeah.
Popple and pills and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Right, from
that's your core, that's your tight group, that's
It's a
your,
radical thing here.
yeah.
It's not for just church people.
Yeah,
You know?
it's, yeah.
Church people, how you
Yeah.
doing?
Robert, if that's
Greeters.
something that
Yeah.
you
It's a radical
want to
thing
see
out here.
happen, you might talk to Clay and Pastor about that and head something up.
Yeah.
To take a group.
Well, like
I
this,
did,
if you want to be the point person for
Yeah.
this,
Clay Clay doesn't have to always be the one to
yeah,
dish this out.
yeah. I was just, I'm there.
I'm still in a, how do I word this? Feeling out my, trying not to overstep my bounds
Yeah.
there.
Well,
you know,
Here's my advice to you, when you're dealing, okay, God has already opened some doors for you doing what you're called to do, what you feel burdened to do, and those are the doors that are opening. You just keep walking through the doors that are opening. When it comes to the local assembly, same thing. Just don't push it, just chill, go through the doors that are opening. because it'll just lead to frustration. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
because
just be you.
I tend to have a little easier time getting frustrated.
Yeah, just be
with the
you.
whole
Chill.
stuff.
Trust me, I've been there. I mean, I'm speaking from experience.
I just go. That's what you do.
Yeah,
you
you
go.
just
Don't worry about
do
anybody else,
it.
'cause I learned 15 years here.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is just do it. And
You-
But if you
you'll
don't,
feel better
if
about
you
it.
don't
anyway.
invite others to join you,
Right, you can
then,
Right.
then others wouldn't even have a clue or
But you gotta
might not even
Right.
consider going.
Yeah, you want to invite people.
You just follow.
Don't get frustrated because they don't come.
Right.
It's like,
That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
You
Right.
follow proper course, but you keep going. You don't do the first 3 steps and then get frustrated and quit. You just live your life. You just go. You let God be God, and
It looks better on your resume that you went through with it. You're the only one that went than that you quit and it never got done or finished. Or,
right. Well, because that's what happens when you get out there and you're trying to and all I can do is relate to the leadership that I've seen here, because as you know, I've been involved with leadership here for many years in the past, and been to many leadership meetings, been to many pastor meetings, and what happens is leaders will get grandiose ideas and nobody wants to do it, and then they quit because they're frustrated or they get down.
they want you to do it.
Or they want
You're a doer, so they want you to do
They
everything.
want you to do it.
It's like,
So, where you're going to find, where I believe you'll find the most peace and the most fulfillment is just be you. Do your thing. I mean,
my wife says it's crazy.
if doors aren't opening, you don't have to kick doors down. You just live life. You just move. You just go. The absolute best things that have happened in my life that have caused me to grow the most and go the furthest and have the most fulfillment are things that I just walked into. It wasn't because I forced it. I just walked into it. And I've always taught, as long as you're on the path, God will give you what I call wells of resources. So like you're on this journey, you're on this path, and sometimes it's through the forest, sometimes it's through the desert, sometimes it's through a beautiful garden, but you walk this path. But what I've found is if you just keep going and keep going, you'll come to a well. And at the wells where you draw from. You know what I mean? So those are those moments that everything back there starts making sense. You know what I mean? And so you draw from the well. You draw your resources from the well, physically, spiritually, mentally. You draw from the well. You draw from the well until there's no rush. That's the thing too. There's no rush. What's so funny is I was more in a hurry at 20 years old than I am at 40. And why I say that's funny is because at 40, obviously, I'm closer to the end than I was at 20.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to slow down more now than ever and just say,
Well, you realize the more you push it, the more you're really fighting.
that's what happens. That's what happens.
Just go with the flow.
You just go. You go.
Let things happen.
If you're willing to move when the door opens, you don't have to worry, because God will. And this is something actually Pastor Tyner kept trying to tell me back when I was younger, because I was in such a hurry to get things done and push and push and push. God will not allow you to miss His will. All you have to do is walk the path. And as long as you know that the step you're taking is on the path He created for you, you're going to be just fine. You're not going to miss it. You're not going to miss it, because He will make sure you keep going. What's funny is when I started grasping this more and more, then that's when some people kind of like wondered about what I was doing. Kind of, where are you going with this, And, but it's more fulfilling. It's more, you're more at peace. Now, you still have bad days. You still have times where you like try to push. But again, even now, the things I try to push just don't seem to happen very well. It's when I just keep moving forward and the door's open. That's where I find the most peace. So I think with you, just in watching you, and this is just advice. I'm not saying thus saith the Lord, and I'm just saying this is Clayton Morgan, watching how God's progressed you, because I remember when you were a teenager, right? How old were you when I first met you? 18? Yeah.
I just turned 18. I just graduated high school.
You, and this is so funny, he is so different now. Because Robert, what I always thought Robert's biggest problem was when he was younger, was he knew about God. But it seemed like the relationship, like the true relationship, was missing, that true connection. But he knew about God because he read MacArthur, he read the church fathers, he read, you know what I mean? But when
I was as much of a book junkie as that.
Yeah. But when he came in, and I don't know when it happened. I don't know when it happened because we had lost contact for a few years. But God got a hold of him somewhere. And I can tell there's been a relationship now with God. So not only does he know about God, he's walking with God. And since he's been doing that, but back to what I was going to say, not speaking for the Lord, I'm just speaking for myself. I think you need to just continue to make this local assembly your home church, the place you come, the place you gather, the place you get fed, the place that you do things when called upon, and again, just kind of walk the path. Because this Tabernacle of Praise is not the end all in ministry. This is just the place we gather to get fed. That's it. Mm-hmm. Now there are those called that this is their main ministry. They're called to the temple, so to speak, like the priest. Mm-hmm. But this is where you come to get fed, where God seems to be blessing you the most. And again, this is just my observation, but is when you get in your prison ministry. The guys you're connected with, the people you're connected with, the organizations you're connecting with, it seems like God's really just kind of opening doors there, and you're doing some cool stuff. So if you start seeing this as your gas station, so to speak, you know what I mean? This is a place that you can come, you can be edified, you can chip in, you can fill in, you can do your thing, you can do stuff to help. But this is when you find your power and your edification and your fuel. And then it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's when you're driving the car. That's when you're plowing the field. That's when you're planting the seed. That's when you're harvesting the crops. You know what I mean? That's when you're casting the line. That's when you're throwing the net. There's all kinds of things you can say. That's when you're shaving the dog,
That's shaving the dog. That's shaving the sheep.
Shaving the sheep.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Because that's where you're really touching people's lives, man.
I've been getting a little more involved with the 40 Days group as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of,
There you
they
go.
kind of just grabbed me.
They grabbed me
into that.
See, and
Now,
that's
I've liked it.
Well-
I'm not like, oh gosh, because I've been going to everything.
Well, here's the thing too on that, and we talked about this, and anybody feel free to chip in, because obviously we're not getting here yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have to watch the time here.
I witnessed 2 kids that just happened to be walking.
Well,
They were walking the grounds at Ball State. There's It's like, what are they doing down
Yeah.
there? So.
Well, and here's the thing too. Here's what I think, again, my observation. What I think is cool about someone like you that enjoys being a part of that, at the same time, you, because of, your personality and the way you've been brought up, you understand the need for discipleship. So there's, a lot of times in movements like that, based on past experience, a lot of times in movements like that, it's all about the spirit, and it's not about the word. So people can kind of get lost over here and make converts, but not disciples. You know what I mean? You get somebody baptized, but then a year later, they're gone. Because you caught them in the moment. You caught them at their time. But so it's good for someone like you to be connected, because you understand the spiritual side of it. You understand the evangelistic side of it. But yet at the same time, you also know there needs to be a discipleship process. Now, what that looks like, I have no clue. It's not going to be you, just you. I mean, what you're going to find is as you walk the path, you'll learn from this movement and how to operate in that movement, and then you'll find the exit point, so to speak, where to funnel people into discipleship. And then at discipleship, you'll connect with a group of men and women that understand discipleship. So you'll be the bridge. Not, it won't just be you, but you'll be one of the bridges. So you'll understand that, okay, when these people are feeling the Spirit of God, they're feeling the love, the peace, and they're saying, I want a commitment. I want to serve the Lord. I want to do what's right. Then you'll recognize that, and you'll recognize where to put them in that funnel and how to plug them into discipleship so that they last and they build relationship. They do.
That comes through an individual.
It
not
does.
A church.
It is.
We've had
yes.
10,000 people come in here.
You gotta plug them in.
We still get preached at to bring people in, but they ain't staying. That's, what the leadership means.
Yeah.
You go back and you can look at the list of people that came here and devoted and said, yeah, I want to be a member, and there's thousands.
Yeah.
But yet there's only 150 here. So
Yeah.
it's not the outreach. It's not the outreach. It's what we're doing here. And then there's a time in the season where it's not the church.
Yeah.
It's just the time and season.
Right.
And the thing about it is, I've always found that you're going to have seasons. And like I had MRDC, I had a season.
Yeah.
It's 12 years, whatever. But that season's over. Time to move on. And even when I first got here from the Christ Fest, before it even started, I'm a doer, and everybody knows that. That's what I do. I do stuff. But like he said, you got to watch, because people will throw you in stuff that you're just going to spin your wheels. You got to know what season God's got you in, because that's the main thing. And you'll be happy too. You'll know it. Everything will be good. And sometimes you have to be the one to push. Sometimes you have to be the one to wait. Mm-hmm. And that, depending on who you are, some of these things are harder. It's harder for me to wait, and then it may be harder for you to push. But everybody's built different, and God knows what season He's got you in. But you have a main thing God always tells you. It's going to this. It's going here. When you build a relationship, you know where you're going. You know where you're going. And it may be, there's times where you might be a little confused, but you know what God told you, and it don't make no difference. Everything is, when I talk to MRDC, they're like, well, how do you do this or that? I'm like, well, you know how I do it? I go to church and I read the Bible and I study the Word of God, and I said, I do a lot of studying. I don't read as much as I listen to tapes. Mm-hmm. I said, but I'm a tape guy. I always have in my truck everywhere I go, at my house. But I said, and I come to church. Everything else falls into place. That's how I started my business. I started everything that I've ever done in God is I just read, come to church. Everything else you walk through the door and you'll know. It's like, yeah, that's for me. Or you try it and that's not for you. Whatever, but you know it. As you're walking, you start sorting. It's like sorting laundry. It's like whites, black. Oh, nobody does laundry but me. That's not a good example.
I do some laundry.
But anyway, it's like sorting. I spend most of the day sorting. I can do this. No, that's not where I'm going. I can't do that.
Yeah, right.
That ain't gonna work. And I spend so much time sorting I ain't trying to think about that other stuff, Harley.
Mm.
It's like, no, that's stupid, you can't do that. And it's not really as difficult as people make it. And you should be happy in that. If it ain't fulfilling, or it ain't, sometimes it's work and you ain't happy about it, but there should be some joy in your life. There's gotta be some joy. That's why I laugh a lot, because it's like a medicine. Without that medicine, you're hit, man. And that's without drugs. You know what I mean? But it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
MRDC was fulfilling, even though it's work.
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, I don't want to go today. And then I'd go, like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'd be so fired up and come here Wednesday night, and then I'd be like, because they wasn't feeling that when I come in. I was hopped up. And it's, God, it's just a relationship. It's awesome, man. And when you do that ministry, nobody knows it. Oh, they might take up a collection to get some Bibles as far as MRDC ever gets recognized. You know that. But it wasn't like, well, we'll put Greg up on a pedestal because he doesn't. Ain't nobody knows that. You're in there with dudes passing gas and being idiots and, you know, in the prison ministry. And it's like, but God knows it. And you know it. There's something between you and God that it don't matter about other people.
Yeah.
That's like this packet. I've been on the steps of the White House in Ohio. It makes a difference. And they took 5,000 people to the steps of the White House. We went to church and they took buses and took them to the White House. It makes a difference, man. And it did then, that day.
Oh, yeah.
This will make a difference.
Sure.
Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. And if they try to do something against it, it'll either be known more. You know how that works.
Oh, yeah.
Negatives always come to a positive of God.
Yeah.
We,
And
yeah.
it'll be more magnified, so there's no
Yeah.
bad coming out of it.
Yeah. We had one of
With
the
God, no bad.
biggest in Henry
And it'll
County.
be good to go to that.
We had one of the biggest controversies that we've had
It's awesome.
in a long time. Huge controversy
Even the bad's good.
in Henry County. And I was right in the heat of the battle, and right before elections. And it did. People that didn't know who I was knew who I was when it was done.
Yeah, that's
Not
what
because of me, but because of the storm that was created.
controversy makes things known.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
As long as you, yeah, again, going back to like where we started with Billy Graham, you walk in integrity, you don't have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You just put one foot in front of the other, ponder the steps, you know, and I think that's in Proverbs, ponder the steps of your feet, you know, one step at a time. That's all you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about a year from now. You just have to worry about your next step. Because if you if you ponder, you know, strategically place your next step, a year from now will take care of itself. You know, that's one thing when John Maxwell, see, we get back to John Maxwell. When John Maxwell was, when he pastored, there's one thing that he said that I'll always remember. There's a few things, but this is one.
I'm gonna say about 5,000. Always remember this.
This is one when it comes to churches, and it comes to really any organization. But this is where I have noticed where churches, local assemblies, fail to accomplish the bigger vision and the desire of those that carry the vision of what they would like to see. The reason they don't find success in it. And he said, when he was pastoring, he didn't concern himself so much with building a big church.
Mhm.
He concerned himself with building big people.
Okay.
He said, because if you build the people, the church will take care of itself. And so many times, think of how many times you hear, and you've been around pastors, they all want numbers. They all want numbers. Let's get 250 here. Let's get 300 here. Let's get 500 here, because they want a big church. And it comes out of the right heart. It comes out of the right spirit, because they're thinking, okay, if we have 500 here, then that means there's more people that can be impacted and more lives that can be changed. It comes from the right place. But the fact is, you won't get them and you won't keep them unless you worry about building big people. do the foundational things right, the rest will take care of
You can
itself.
have numbers in the stadium. They got numbers in the ball stadium, but there ain't an ounce of anointing in there, so.
Right.
It don't matter
Right.
if Christ ain't the center of
Right.
it.
Well, yeah. And recently, you know, my son went to a church camp last year.
Great, brother. Good to see
Come
you.
back just on fire for God, spiritually awakened. He went to a Christian camp recently. A lot of people, a lot of big activities, had fun, but came back with the worst attitude than when he left.
Being a conference guru, I know how that is. You know,
Right.
I used to get made fun of, you know, all the time for going to parsley's.
Oh,
But
and that's what
the
conferences
people
are.
I wanted to see would come to parsley's. That's the closest I could get to them. So when they come around, that's who I went to. It wasn't really about parsley's. It's about the people that was coming in, like Perry Stone or
Yeah.
I mean, whoever I wanted to see.
It's
Crazy.
people, I can't stress this enough. Geographic location is important. Placing yourself in the midst of the type of people you want to be around is vital.
Yeah, positioning's everything.
Connecting with the people that you want to be like, that you want to follow in the path of, that are 10 steps ahead of you. If that's where you want to be, you need to surround yourself physically in those positions.
Elisha would have never have got Elijah's anointing or mantle had he not left his home and started following.
We got it, exactly. And I want to say, I want to use an example to really express my point. That's something with me, and it involves one person. There's a guy named Ed Simcox. He was the Indiana Secretary of State, like in the late 70s, early 80s. Okay, had no clue who this guy was. I went through Victory Lane Camp. I was able to go to Washington D.C. to a Wilberforce weekend conference. Okay, which the room, you know, there's several hundred people there, but it was the way it was designed was basically from the big wigs to the nobodies. They were right there. I mean, if you went and fished, went and just been, you can network with top dogs. Okay? So anyways, the CEO of Victory Lane introduced me to Ed Simcox. He said, hey, this is Ed Simcox, blah, 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 the guy that was Secretary of State of Indiana, right? So I get to talking to him. We make connections because he's good friends with Jeff Cardwell, who I met in Newcastle, that's now the state chair of the Republican Party, that went to church with Pastor Tyner when they were kids. So Ed knows him. So I made a relational connection. Okay? Said hi and everything, blah, blah, blah. Because Ed sits on the board of the Colson Center, which is the fellowship program that I'm going through right now. Okay? Well, comes to Republican State Convention, okay, that I just, God made a way for me to be able to go and be a delegate at the convention. Okay? Ed Simcox is the guy at the Republican State Convention that's chairing the convention. Okay? He's the guy in charge of the order of voting in the convention and the rules. So while I'm there, I go up to him just to plant a seed, introduce myself. Hey, Ed, just wanted to say hi. I'm Clayton Morgan. We met at Wilberforce weekend. You see the lights turning? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, how you doing? Not a nuisance.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say hi. Just and walk away. Right? So, well, then Jeff Cardwell calls me up about this, and he says, yeah, Ed's going to be there, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So I go. I knew Jeff wasn't going to be there, but Ed was going to. So I go, and when it was over, I searched Ed out again, went up to him. This time he remembers a little more.
Sure.
and shake his hand. Just wanted to, I knew you'd be here. Just wanted to be sure I said hey to you and goodbye. And you know, and he's looking at me like there's something to this. And I just smile and shake his hand. Hey, we'll see you. And I leave. And I walk out the door and I'm like planting seeds. I'm just planting seeds because these are the people I want to be around.
Yeah.
These are the people that I want to sit around tables like this with because they've been there, they've done that, they've experienced it, they've held on to their faith. You know what I mean? And they know the seasons we're in right now, and they have the network and the connections that they've taken the time to build. That God has positioned me that I can
And that's where
piggyback
the doors will open.
and take it further.
When the doors open, that's when they'll open.
And it, yes, and it's just
I went there,